Good morning. Hello, hello, hello. Good morning. I can see it with Anna. I can see Ted. Welcome, welcome. Sherry, good morning. Deborah, good morning. Oh, I'm so excited to be here. Awesome. We're going to get started here. I'm a little nervous because my intention for today is to create an experience for you. Ideally, really, in my greatest pleasure would be to actually be in a big tent with you right now and just sitting in a circle and going through this experience together. But since that's not quite possible, my intention for today is to recreate that virtually somehow. So send me good technology vibes and so forth. And this is the first time I'm doing it. So if things take a little, or there's a little bit of some glitches, forgive me in advance. So we're going to get started. Let me just find my notes, and then we're off and running here. So of course, first of all, I'm super delighted to be here. I'm super grateful that you're here this morning and that you're joining me. Today, the training is on how to discover your pleasure intelligence and how to unlock ease and flow and love in your life. And before we dive into the training, I really wanted to invite you to make this a sacred time. Part of my intention for you is to give you an experience of how the magical and the sacred can be a part of your everyday life experience. And part of being in the flow is really this quality of magic and ease. And for you to be able to experience that, I need you to be here with me right now. And so turn on Facebook, put away your iPhone, close your door, any kind of distractions. Also, if you actually could lay down for the first part, that would be amazing. So if you can find a space where you can hear me and lay down, that would be great. Have pen and paper close by though, because there will be there will be training where you want to take notes after in the second half. So have that close by. And I think that's all you will need. Today, what I'm going to share with you really has changed my life, and in a way where my experience of my life was one of struggle, one of depletion, one of feeling I was constantly pushing, like I wasn't getting a break, and going through my days, and at the end of the day just being wiped out and having nothing left over for myself, to living in an experience where literal experience where I'm completely supported, feel nurtured, and things are flowing with ease, and the qualities of my relationships and my lifestyle have improved tremendously. So before I dive into the training today, I just wanted to make sure that you know that you're in the right place, that you're not wasting time here this morning. And so you're in the right place if you're someone who you really ask a lot of yourself. You ask more of yourself than you ask of anybody else. You have very high expectations. You have high goals. You have achieved tremendous success already in your life. And you hold yourself to very high standards. When things go wrong, you're the first one that you maybe not so gently go after. And you're for sure a different breed than most people on this planet. You set very big goals for yourself, and most of the time you achieve them. And most people in the world wouldn't even have a clue of what it really takes and what it has taken you in terms of focus, dedication, persistence, emotional tenacity to get to where you are. So these are all great qualities, and there's a downside of being that tenacious and being that ruthless sometimes with oneself. And it takes one to know one, because it can truly lead you into isolation. It can lead you into what I call kind of like slave mode, where you've just become a slave to your business and to everybody around you, and ultimately can lead you to complete overwhelm and burnout. And then you don't have energy for your relationships, and you don't have energy for yourself. Your health declines. I don't have to tell you what happens, right? but you're also in a place where you know that you want something different for your life. You don't just want to be a machine and be an autopilot all day long. You want to have radiance. You want to feel juicy. You remember that you were that once, and if you're anything like I was, you're yearning to find more balance in a way of life that feels more filled with ease, but doesn't include giving up your high achievements. That doesn't include time away from your family. So where you will have more time with your family, more fun in your relationship, higher libido, more downtime, more playtime, and accelerated results, right? So because there's this thinking that if we work hard, we get results, and if we don't work hard, we don't get results, right? And there has to be a different way, and there is, and that's what we're going to talk about today. Obviously, I'm going to keep this to an hour. I'm going to do my best to really be succinct and keep it to an hour, because I know you have lots to do with your day still. And so I want to just let you know in the beginning that towards the end, I will share with you how you can take this further, how you can train more and get more of this information, and not just this hour. And so, as I said, my intention for today is to make this really magical for you. And so at this point, I'm inviting you to actually come. I want to see if you can see this. I've set up a white tent here in the background, because like I said, I wish I could be in a tent with you literally right now. And, for years, or for many thousands of years, people around, women specifically around the world, have gathered in red tents to come together, to heal, to transform, and so forth. And the reason why I don't have a red tent, even though I'm wearing a red dress for you today, is because white and golden white light represents our highest truth, our highest self, Christ consciousness, love, peace. All these vibrations vibrate or have an expression in the color white and golden white. And so that's why I've chosen the white tent. And so I'm going to meander over there. This is the part where it gets a little tricky, but I think I've practiced it enough so I can take you with me without getting stuck anywhere. I'm going to take you into my white tent with me this morning. And then you can find a place where you can lay down and be comfortable. Just make sure to, yes, there's a candle burning behind me. I don't set myself on fire. And you can still see me. Okay, this is working. And so I'm inviting you to close your eyes, taking a deep breath in, letting your belly soften, and exhaling, letting go of anything and everything that came before our time together this morning. And just lighting some sage and creating sacred space here for all of us. I'm taking another deep breath in. And exhaling, letting go of anything and everything that came before our time, that will come after our time together, later today, tomorrow, rest of this week, rest of the month, the rest of your life. Just letting it all go. And then inhaling one last time. Again, letting your belly soften and exhaling, letting go of anything and everything, and just arriving in this present moment. And in this present moment, I'm speaking a prayer. I'm setting the intention for deep transformation and healing, for upliftment, new levels of awareness, new ways of being, ahas, and quantum leaps. And so I know that in the mind of God, in spirit, in consciousness, everything that we want is already here. We all came to this world with a sense of who we truly are, fully in our power, fully in our joy, fully in our pleasure. And then things started to become complicated. But that pure version of ourselves is here at all times, and it's here to be fully brought forward. And everything that goes with being that person, all the ease, flow, love, support, money, service, connections, everything that's required or that goes with being that person is already here for you as well. What you want wants you. And so it's just a matter of learning what we can do to change our vibration, shed layers of vibrational levels that don't serve us anymore, and step into being that higher vibrational self. And so I just let this intention and prayer be, knowing that it is carried out in joy and peace by simply saying, and so it is, amen. And so for a moment, I'm inviting you to just keep your eyes closed and to dive deep within your soul. Imagine yourself being a body of water, an endless ocean, a vast universe. And allow yourself to have a direct experience of your light. And so remember that this part is always here and always accessible to you. And you may keep your eyes closed for a little longer. You may open them. I want to share a story with you in this space. And it's a story of many women that I meet and work with. And it is also my story. Once upon a time, there was a little girl, and she was born in Germany, and she was full of light, promise, and hope. She had big dreams of saving the world. But then, when she was 3, someone touched her inappropriately. And she loved that person very much, and so she didn't say anything. And that's when she started to give away her power for the love of another human being. And this wasn't the only time. As life went on, she gave away her power to eating disorders, men, her business, and later on, even to her own children. The problem was, she didn't realize that she was doing that. She was thinking she was just living her life and just doing what she had to do. Well, as life would have it, one can't go on in life abandoning and mistreating oneself forever. God has much bigger plans for all of us. So, shortly before that girl, that was a woman now, turned 35, her body and spirit gave in. Officially, she had been diagnosed with adrenal burnout, chronic fatigue, and acute sleep deprivation from having had a second baby. Officially, her marriage also wasn't working, and a lot of other struggles were present too. But all those things really were just the perfect setup by the universe to make her see. One night, her then husband came home from work after a long day where she had been home with the kids taking care of them, or better said, not really being able to take care of them because she had no energy and felt as if she was failing her children as a mother. So when he came home, she broke down on her knees in front of him, begging him to understand that she could not do this anymore, hoping that someone outside of her would help her. He was somewhat surprised and stumped. So he said the next best thing that he could think of, not meaning for any harm. He said, "Well, you wanted to be a mother, right?" And with that sentence, her body collapsed onto the floor, and her soul and her spirit left. They flew straight up to the ceiling, and hovering there, she could see her son, who was 1.5, and her daughter, who was 6 at the time. They were both on top of her body, screaming, "Mama, Mama." And even seeing them in such despair didn't make her spirit and soul wanting to re-enter the lifeless body on the floor. But then the miracle happened, because they always do. A voice said, "Carolyn, your work isn't done here." And with that, her spirit and soul were sent back into her body, but she wasn't the same anymore. Upon re-entry, she was gifted 5 days of complete harmony, a state that you might call bliss or enlightenment. All her needs were met, and life just flowed during that time. The experience was musical. Whenever she just tried to go into the direction of thinking something negative about herself or anybody, she would go into fear or doubt. The whole orchestra would go out of tune. And so she would simply stop and drop going in that direction. She was taught that life is not about suffering, and that all suffering essentially is brought onto ourselves by our own self. She was shown that if she changed the way she was being, and specifically, if she would start making decisions radically in every moment based on what felt right and good to her, and not someone else, her life would change completely. She was told to go into the pursuit of pleasure. That finding ways to allow pleasure in all areas of life is the key to unlocking your divine life and potential. And since she had nothing to lose, she decided to go on this adventure. It wasn't easy at first because all of us earthlings have been programmed otherwise. It was even scary at times, but she still bravely set one foot in front of the other, one decision that felt right at a time. It meant leaving her husband and supposed financial security. It meant going out on her own in her own business with no security net, with no family around. But soon, her life started to transform. Her energy started to transforming. People fell away, new people entered. Way more fun and pleasure came, all kinds, and yes, sexual and sensual too. And interestingly enough, the more fun and pleasure she was able to allow herself to have in her life, the more money and success she'd receive too. Soon, she couldn't keep what she'd discovered to herself anymore. And so she started sharing it with other people. And other people started having similar results. For example, one person cleared a lifetime of toxicity with her mother, and with it completely opened up to her own creativity and genius. Her business has completely transformed because of this. She's only doing what she loves and still makes great money. Finally, she can sleep at night, has lost all that weight that she'd put on from all the stress that had caused, that from that relationship. And her husband and her are having way more fun too. Another one went from doing everything for everybody else, including the cat that vomited on her carpet in front of her office door every morning, to finding her fabulous, sharing on public stages, transforming her body, moving into her dream house, and even being gifted her dream car, a white Mercedes convertible, by her husband. So essentially, she realized, that it was a 4-step process that people could be taken through, and that would help them to let go of the blocks that we all have to being our highest self and being in pleasure. Because the greatest pleasure is to be free and to be who you came here to be, including everything that comes with that. And to allowing ourselves to have pleasure in all areas of our lives. So what is story? Let's just take a moment right here to get present to the emotions that might be in your heart and in your body right now, and see what the story brought up for you. Could you see yourself in it? And imagine what would be possible for you if you could just unapologetically allow yourself to want what you want and to claim what you truly want. Take a deep breath. There is so much more for you to be had, and that's why I'm so excited for you to be here. You already have a lot of success, and it came at a price, and that price doesn't have to go on. You truly can have a life experience where you're in a constant state of gratitude flow, and where your life experience literally feels like a prayer, magical. So if you have had your eyes closed up until now, you can open them now. We're going to shift gears slightly, because besides of just this feeling of possibility and expansiveness and sacredness, I also want you to take some real understanding. And I've given you the big picture now. Now I want to give you the steps, because you have a brilliant mind, and I want to not ignore that. So with that, let me see. I think I'm going to go back to my place, to my official lecture place, and you can grab your pen and paper. Because all of this is actually very scientific and scientific. And what I discovered is it's all about a new kind of intelligence, which is pleasure intelligence. So first of all, I obviously want to share with you what pleasure intelligence is and why it is so important. So imagine at any given time, you're surrounded by multiple universes, right? Everything in the universe is energy. And one of the, I imagine them as like little balls that are floating around us. And at any given time, there's many versions of them. And one of them is the universe where you have everything, where you are everything, where everything feels right, basically. Not that we ever arrive, but there's a sense of, this feels good. Right now you might be in a universe where you have money and we have clients and the financial stuff handled, but you have no time and you feel like crap and your love life is non-existence, right? So the universe that I'm talking about is the universe where you have everything you could ever dream of. And I call this universe your paradise. Now, why is this important, and what does it have to do with pleasure intelligence? Well, we all come into this world with an umbilical cord that's connected to our paradise. And it's connected to our body, and it's connected to being in our body. And we need to use our body and the feeling of pleasure in our body as a navigational tool. So in other words, the way that we navigate ourselves toward being in that paradise is by using our body as a navigational tool. And we're looking for, does this feel good or does this not feel good? It's almost like, in Germany we have this game where you hide a pot with something under, and you blindfold children's eyes, and they have a little wooden cooking spoon, and they have to like find this pot, and you say hot and cold and hot and cold. It's almost like that, where when you move into the direction of what feels right and good, you're moving towards your paradise. So that's really important to know. Now, the problem is that for most of us, we have not been trained to pay attention to ourselves and to our body, right? We've been trained to do the opposite. We've been taught that we need to be a good person. You need to put yourself last and do everything for everybody else, right? Including your clients, including your family, and so forth. And so there's a lot of deprogramming and things that need to happen for us to actually even just to be able to start beginning to feel this. Now, another way of looking at it is, in order for us to get into vibrational resonance with the paradise, two things are necessary for us. We need to be able to feel our desires, right? The things that feel good to us. That's what we talked about. And then the other thing is, we then also need to be able to get ourselves into a space where we're vibrationally not in resistance. And when you can do those two things, to me, that means that you have a high pleasure IQ. You have a high level of ability to allow yourself pleasure in all areas of your life. Because when you can do that, you have no resistance to it anymore, right? So all of this is nice and good, but why have people such a hard time to allow themselves more pleasure in all areas of their lives? And we actually have to look at history, and really, this is not a personal problem. It's actually a problem that was instilled into the human race, because there's a group of people, the 1%ers, let's call them, that know about this, and basically they wanted to have a good life for themselves, and they don't believe, this is me, saying this, but I believe that they don't believe that there's enough for everybody. And so they thought that they had to keep this knowledge separate and keep everybody else in struggle and strife, so that they would basically just be busy with survival, so that all the good stuff would be left for them. Well, now we know, there's none of this is true. It's limited thinking, right? There's enough for everybody. It's not necessary that we exclude somebody and keep this information. So the way the select group of people has suppressed the other part, us, our ancestors, we've inherited this way of being, is through shame and guilt, and a lot of sexual shame and guilt, and a lot of distortion around what our sexuality is, and with that, where really where power comes from, right? Power has been misused. And it's also happened through the separation between the feminine and masculine. And so both these things have contributed for most of us to carry negative emotional imprints from our ancestors, and then also create new negative emotional imprints for ourselves in our lives. And so even if you don't take anything else from this training today, what I want you to remember is that we don't have power over anything outside ourselves. We don't have power over other people. We don't have power over circumstances. We actually never make anything happen. The only thing that we do and what we have power over is we get ourselves into an aligned vibrational space, so the things that are meant for us, right, they're like right over here waiting for us. They're just waiting for us to open ourselves enough so that they can flow in. Nothing is created, it's already created. It's just not in our experience. Or we're not in a reality where we are living with these things, basically. Right? So your paradise is a high vibrational space. And really the only reason why you're not in it right now is because you're not quite a match to this frequency yet. And so I want to go over the 4 steps of the Pleasure IQ system with you and give you some tools today that you can take with you so that you can demystify this process, because it doesn't have so much to do with working through your stuff and, doing kind of the work that you've been doing up until now, because, it got you to a certain place, but you also know that even though you've done so much work, there's still things that are just the same, that haven't changed. And they have to do with this energetic, with the energetics of you. So let me just really see how you're doing. Still everybody's here. Awesome. Good. So let's go over the 4 steps in the Pleasure IQ system. Everything in the universe is energy. And energy vibrates. It can be measured, right? Everything is made up of energy. The paradise that you want to get into is a high vibrational state. The reason why you're not quite in it, there's no judgment, right? We're always evolving, is because you're not quite a vibrational match. And so one of the 2 lowest vibrational frequencies are shame and guilt. Shame and guilt actually vibrate at the level of 20 to 30. Anything that vibrates below the level of 200, courage is 200, is life destroying. So if you feel like your body isn't working the way it should, if you don't feel really alive and good, it means that there's a process in your body at play that is not life-giving, and most likely it has to do with shame and guilt, because those are the 2 most life-destroying energies you can be hooked into. It's not even that you have them in your body. You're vibrating at that frequency and you're going in resonance with those fields, with those energetic fields, with the collective fields of shame and guilt. So, carrying a whole bunch of subconscious shame and guilt is really, for many of my clients, the number 1 reason why they're headed for burnout, divorce, depression, have no libido, and just, it's really a form of self-abuse, even though it doesn't look that way, because you are doing something and you're doing your purpose, and, your outside life isn't too terrible, but your soul and your spirit are slowly dwindling away. So, I've had clients that haven't taken a day off for no reason because of subconscious shame and guilt, for example. This is why the first step is to learn how to let go of shame and guilt and how to detect it in your system. And oftentimes we spend a whole day on this. When people come to me to work with me, I love working in retreats, because when you do retreats, you can go really deep, and within a day go really to the root cause of where this pattern started for you. And oftentimes, like I said, it even doesn't have anything to do with you. It's often ancestral. And sometimes I've had people release stuff in a day, what they haven't been able to work through in years, tens of years in therapy. And it's very non-threatening, because all you do is you work with energy. You don't work with the story. It's not forgiveness work. It's not processing. So I want to just share with you about my client, Letitia. Let me just see if I can figure out how to share my screen here real quick. so you can see her story. I hope you can see this. This is my client, Letitia. When she came to me, she had built a retreat center, and they had spent 8 years working really, really hard and building it up. And it almost cost them their marriage and their health. And they, they had a small child, and really not a lot of time. I mean, the child was with them all the time, but they really didn't have time to just be present for, just for the child and have family time. And so she was constantly struggling, constantly having to put out fires, was never off, and it took a big toll on their relationship and her body. And so after investing with me, they took a year off. They had a baby. They moved to the Caribbean, bought their dream house on the beach. They're only working a few hours a week. They're building the next retreat center very differently. She toured through South Africa with her family, attracted multiple opportunities to make millions without working hard, like pretty much not doing much work at all. And I think, for herself, her marriage, like she just shared this with me last week on a call. Her marriage has transformed completely. It's like they don't know each other. They feel like she literally feels like, who are you? As if she had never met her husband before. And they're like crazy for each other, like teenagers. And stuff like that is priceless, right? There's no money that can buy you that stuff. And I do believe that we came to this life to have the most pleasurable experience, and having a deeply intimate, beautiful, soul-fulfilling relationship, to me, that's like what life is for, besides all the other things, right? So I want to give you something that you can do right now, because the trick is, since it's unconscious, it's really hard to catch. But the good thing is that even though we can't see our unconscious, we can see how we behave, and we can see the results that we're creating. So anytime that you find yourself blaming either yourself, circumstances, somebody else, blaming or complaining about something, you can be sure that the reason why you're doing it is because you're in a state of shame and guilt right now. Otherwise, there would be no need to do it. So in other words, you can start observing yourself, and then when you do so, you can stop yourself. And even though you don't actually know what the guilt is and what the shame is, you can put your attention on your physical body and feel your energetic state. You can feel the vibration that you're in, and then work with that. And to transform anything into the positive, all it needs is your attention. So putting the attention on the way you're feeling in that moment, and allowing yourself to use your body to transform it by putting the attention on it. That will help you to slowly but surely clean out the gunk, clean out the subconscious shame and guilt, and get yourself into a higher vibrational state. So the second step in the Pleasure IQ system has to do with integrating your feminine and masculine. Because remember, I shared that in order for you to navigate your way into your paradise, you need the two things. You need to know what your desires feel like, and also you need to be in a non-resistant space, in a harmonious, energetic space. And we all come from these two energy lines, the feminine and the masculine, and most of us are not in harmony with these two energies within ourselves, and that creates a lot of disharmony. So one of the fastest ways to get yourself into a harmonious space is to actually integrate or work with these two energies within yourself. And I could spend weeks teaching this, and it's really fun and very practical. And this also is where family constellations comes in, a very deeply transformative process that I've been practicing for over 20 years and helped hundreds of people with. So the constellation work has taught me that as long as our relationships with our parents and ancestral lineages aren't cleared, it's almost impossible for us to allow ourselves to have a good life. And just want to share another story with you. make sure I have it up. This is Amanda. And when Amanda came to me, she was also she's successful. She had built an agency, but she was also, she actually was burned out, and she had just had another baby. And part of her problem was that she knew how to make money, but it wasn't feeding her, right? So she would do this thing that would make her money, but it would not feed her. And so she would get more and more depleted, and she would not take care of herself, because it seemed impossible with the baby and the business and blah, 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 blah. It always seems impossible. But the truth is, the only reason why we don't take care of ourselves is because of the blocks that we have. We all have time. It's amazing time that you have once you start making these shifts. So after investing, she's now working with a very different group of people. She's doing her work in a very different way. Her creativity is in everything that she does, instead of leaving it last and then never doing it. And she's really recognized her true power and capabilities, and she's learned to not settle for anything less. And for her too, if you compare her from before and after, before she was run ragged, now she's resourced and she's in her power, and things happen with much more magic and ease and flow. And then also I wanted to tell you about Kim. When Kim came to me, she had just hit a wall in her business. She had started a business and grown it really fast, and then hit a wall and was facing legal battles. All of a sudden, she had all these bills that she had to pay, and she had just gotten out of an abusive relationship, and it was really hard to feel good inside. Like she was saying, she was mostly just feeling overwhelmed and really not good about herself. And she was pushing and pushing and pushing, and nothing was moving. And so after we did the work together, she moved into a beautiful house in the countryside. She actually did get her son to live with her. She started selling at a very different level. She went from 100,000 to $1 million in under 14 months, not by working harder, just by really aligning herself, allowing herself to be who she truly is, to allow herself to be seen. Because when you have energy, you don't need to hide anymore, because there's nothing to hide. There's nothing to be ashamed of. There's nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to feel bad about yourself anymore, because you know that you're not at your best, right? And she really deeply healed and connected to her core sexual power, and that's resulted in feeling safe, allowing team members, allowing her to build a thriving agency, and just completely relate differently and see life through a different lens. And now I cannot find the button to close the screen share. Okay, give me a second. Why did this change? Hello, why did my... Okay, I'm just gonna leave this screen up for now. This is where it starts. This happens when you do things live and you do things differently than you normally do. Let me see what happens. Okay. I think I just pushed a button and it worked. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So one thing that you can do right now to work with your feminine and your masculine and to bring it into balance is to focus on noticing the healthy masculine and the healthy feminine in your life. Healthy masculine is anything that's serving you, protecting you. It could be your house, it could be the postman, could be a man opening the door for you, could be your car, anything that's really serving you and protecting you and creating structures in your life and so forth. And then for the feminine, to notice the empowered feminine, you can notice beauty around you. You can allow yourself to be present to sensations. So for example, you could feel the water under the shower when you're taking a shower, when you're doing the dishes. You could walk barefoot and start feeling the ground. You could be under your covers and feel what that feels like. Really allowing yourself to have sensual and visceral experiences, because with both these things, what we focus on expands. So if you actually notice how much healthy feminine energy and opportunities for healthy feminine energy you have in your life, and the same for the masculine, that will become your reality, right? And so then the third step, and you might have guessed this, has to do with removing anything that's in the way of you really feeling and knowing your true desires. And that has to really to do with unblocking our sexuality. And also, our body has been designed to run on much higher energy frequency that we're currently running on. And part of why we're not running on these higher frequencies is because of the cultural and the religious and that in general disempowerment that we as a race have undergone. And so there is ways that you can reawaken these energy channels that are in your body, so that your body actually starts automatically vibrating at a higher level. And it does have to do with reclaiming your sexuality and connecting to your core essence. And this is where really the fun and the juiciness comes in. And doing work in this area has huge effects on what you're able to create in life and how you're able to create it in your life. And so, and as for the last step, it's all about knowing how to keep your vibration high and really making your vibrational maintenance the top priority, right? We normally make everything else the top priority, getting everything done, working off our to-do list and so forth. And I'm really inviting you to flip it, right? And most people have a hard time doing that because it's so ingrained in us to work hard. And that's why people need help from people like me, right? Otherwise I would be out of business if that wasn't so. So to really make your energy management a priority, and things that you can do, just think about things that make you feel good. For me, it's being outside, being in nature, spending time with Paul, having time for touch and just laying there and making love and being together, and just having spaciousness and time, having time for creativity. Having spaciousness feels good, right? And it's not always the same thing. The idea is that you learn to be tuned in enough with yourself to know what the right thing is for you to do in the moment, whether it's being active or not being active, spending time with someone, not spending time with someone. That's really the invitation. And so I really hope that this is inspiring you to kind of think about what you've been taught, and to question what you've been taught. Because like I said, working hard that's not where it's at. It's not where we are in our power. Just gonna see, there's some questions. Let me just ask you real quick, were you guys able to see the client testimonials? Because somebody's saying you're not able to see them. Because it looked like I was sharing them on full screen. If you can message me, I will show them to you again. And then I wanted to just invite you, if this has been helpful to you, to consider spending some one-on-one time with me, because this creeps in differently for everybody. And so I want to share a link with you real quick. And also, if you're on a computer, you can just go to www.womenintheflow.com/booking-page, www.womenintheflow.com booking.com/booking-page. And then I want to share this link with you. Come on. I hope you can all see the link. I posted it into the chat box. So if it's there, click on it. If not, it's womenintheflow.com/booking-pat page. And so I want to invite you to a free Unlock Your Pleasure breakthrough session with me, to get on the phone with me. So first, you and I can talk about you becoming one of my next success stories. That would be very exciting. And number two, so we can discuss your vision and your dreams of what it is that you really want to accomplish in terms of stepping it up. And then also at the end of the breakthrough session, we can discuss a plan and a path to help you get there. And I'm going to talk to you about how I can serve you with some of my programs that could help you to achieve the results that you want. So what I'd like to do right now, what I'd like you to do right now is to click the link, and I'll tell you, how to get the breakthrough session with me. All you have to do if you're interested is really fill out the application. And, I get it. You're risking spending time with me and finding out maybe if you're fit for my program, you're not a fit for my program. I just want you to consider that either way, whether you're moving forward or not moving forward, you're going to come away with a breakthrough. So it's really not a waste of your time. I'm going to show you the client testimony. This is another one I really like. I want to share with you. Let me know if you guys can see it, because I have a different view from you guys. So this is Kim with you. She was saying, working with Carolyn was a transformation of the soul that had a ripple effects across my entire life. I felt joy and love return to my world, and I learned how to live in my pleasure zone. So this is one. This is Letitia. You can look at it while I'm talking about session. So in the session, I will really look with you at where you are and help you see how applying these principles, what it could do for you, right? What your life could really look like. And we can also pinpoint where in your particular case it's coming from. So I'm inviting you, if you're considering right now talking with me, to just fill out, click on the link, fill out the application. Once you fill it out, you will get sent to my schedule. Pick a time that works for you, or maybe it's set up the other way where you pick the time first and then fill out the application. The reason why I have the application in place is so that I can really prepare and spend the 45 minutes that I have with you in the best possible way. Let me just see, there's a question, I think. Oops, where did it go? Okay, let me check. The link is www. Actually, I have a Word document with it on it. I can show you since I'm showing my screen. Hold on real quick. This is what it is when you do this live. Here you go. I'm going to try to grab it again and put it into the chat. One second. Didn't grab it all. There you go. Let's see. Oops, there's other ones on here that just didn't go through. Very interesting. Thanks for bearing with me. It looks like it got sent. Okay, you got it. Perfect. Okay, let me close this. Let me close this, and this. And there's Paul and I. Hello. And there's Mary Jo, who really, she has transformed so much just by working through her stuff with her mom. Jen was struggling in relationships, and she knew exactly that her fears and limiting stuff was keeping her. She was already super successful, And after we worked together, she attracted her soulmate and married her, and filled events that she's done for years with twice as many people, with less, with the same or less amount of work. And she got invited to become part of a very elite group of transformational leaders that includes Jack Canfield and Deepak Chopra. So she's serving at a much higher level and has much more ease and love and fun in her life. So if you're considering making a change in your life, if you're ready to have more pleasure, if you know that, if you have tried to take better care of yourself, and if you find you're always putting yourself last and you don't know why and you really want help, talk to me, come talk to me, apply for that session with me. And I'm really hoping to speak with as many of you as possible. And Susan is the one with the cat. You can read the testimonial. Leah is another one that I didn't share with, but I obviously have a bunch of people who really benefited from this. She cut her hours in half and scaled her business to consistent 5 figures months. She's the queen of flow. Actually, now she doesn't do anything unless it feels right and good. She's a role model for me now. Actually, she took this and ran with it. And here's Kim again. And so this is what I had prepared for you today. Again, what I want you to take from this is it's not so much about, doing your affirmations and doing and doing and doing. It all comes down to learning a new way of being, removing the blocks that you have to this new way of being. If you can remove them yourself to get the help as quickly as possible, it doesn't have to take long, right? There's people like me who know how to go really deep, really quickly with people and help you shift these things, so that then it makes it easier in your everyday life that you can practice and stay in a high vibrational space. So with that, remember that that's where you power lies. You power lies where your body is and where your vibration is, and in helping yourself to feel as good as possible at any given time. And so I'm really hoping to talk to you. We're at the end of our time together. I hope this was helpful to you today. Give me some feedback. Let me know what I could have done better. Let me know what was really good for you. I loved being here with you this morning, and I'm just wishing you many blessings and sending you all my love. Bye for now, and I hope to see you and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.